No, I wasn't.
That's
I wasn't.
That's okay.
I don't like The Departed. Also, Terminator 2 is coming up next.
Yeah. I still don't get how you don't like The Departed, though. That's such a good movie.
I don't know, man. It's like...
And this is like coming from me, and I watched Infernal Affairs
Yeah.
long before that movie came out. So when I was watching The Departed, I was literally like, is this an American version of Infernal Affairs?
Yeah.
Is this really? And then, of course, I was like, it totally is. The cool part about The Departed, though, is it takes all three of the movies and puts it into one big one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, because, like, the sequel was a prequel. It showed the two of them rising up their respective ranks. And then the third one is, like, the ending, so to speak, where they wrap everything up. But, okay.
So basically, like, I'm not a crime fan. I've never liked crime movies. And... Which is sad, because I know Scorsese is a good filmmaker, but 90% of his films are crime movies.
I can't really say that I fault you for it, because, like, one of the reasons why I've never really watched Breaking Bad is because you're basically watching not necessarily a great guy, but a relatively good dude become horrible.
Yeah.
And unapologetically. Like, even at the end of the series, like, he's not like, oh
he's
my
the
God.
worst of the worst.
And I actually was talking to this with a coworker from work, Kaylee Walsh, and I was saying, like, she goes, I think a lot of people don't understand that you're supposed to hate Heisenberg. You're not supposed to like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, yeah, exactly. That's just like Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, Joker from any Joker movie.
Yep. Yeah. Stop rooting for the Joker. He's a fucking crazy psycho that kills people. What the fuck you like?
Yeah, like, oh God, like, it's all these things. But anyway,
so we're going to be talking about T2.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It almost sounded like Mario's brother. I came from the future to save you, and you died because I didn't complete my mission. I'm so mad.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen the Terminator 1 episode, you can see it up here.
Yeah.
Right above Chris, which is fitting because he got really pissed off in that episode. Like, really angry.
I'm actually still bitter because we filmed these episodes back to back.
Yeah.
And even though they're a week apart, I'm still reeling from the bullshit that came out of this guy's mouth.
It was the truth.
Oh, God.
And sometimes
Okay. Stop. Right now.
Hey, you keep bringing it up. I was done. That was so last week. 10 minutes ago.
So last week. Stop trying to make fetch happen, Gretchen.
Okay, anyway. T2, a masterpiece.
This was the line I wanted to say in Terminator 1.
Okay.
So, Terminator 1 is an absolutely amazing movie.
Yes.
Terminator 2 is better in every aspect of the movie.
Yep.
Every single thing that is awesome in Terminator 1, and there's so much in it that's awesome, is eclipsed in Terminator 2. Like, this was one of those rare times where this was like the first time that I have ever heard the sequel is better than the original. It's the first time I've heard it. I've heard it plenty of times since. A lot of times it's open to subjective feelings, right?
Well, I mean...
Because, like...
I'm thinking, like, throughout history, how many movies was the sequel actually better than the original? I could probably count one hand the answer.
Well,
it's not a lot.
Like clear cut. Clear cut.
Clear cut this one easily.
Because, like, Batman Begins, Dark Knight. I feel Dark Knight is better than Batman Begins. Not like in this case where it just totally eclipsed it, but I do feel it's the better of the two movies. You don't, right? So it's a subjective decision.
Whereas I feel like everyone can agree that this is the better.
Exactly, and that's my point. I think the only other one that I'm familiar with, even though I've never watched the movies, would be The Godfather 2. My understanding is that The Godfather 2 is the best of the series.
Yeah. And Captain America.
Hey, Winter Soldier. Oh, fuck. Or Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2.
X-Men 2?
Spider-Man 2 is a big one.
Spider-Man 2 and X-Men 2 are the first ones I remember, like, in recent memory,
yeah.
where, like, it started almost like a trend.
Yeah.
Where the sequel was better than the original.
I kicked the camera.
Oh.
I fucked everything up now.
Okay.
It's karma.
Okay.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm coming in.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
A little bit of sexy time there.
Yeah. You know, you get to see all that shit up close. Yeah. This Cal Reese hater over here.
Michael Biehn had way better hair than I do.
Yeah, he's got better hair than I do, though.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Better abs, too.
Yeah. He has abs.
He has abs.
Yeah.
We do.
I've had abs.
You've had abs. Where'd they go?
They're somewhere in there. I
Yeah.
don't know. At some point.
I've never found mine. The legend of the abs.
That's nice. I like that.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, so, like, where do we begin? The opening sequence in the future is better.
Yeah.
Because, like...
Well, this won Academy Awards for visual effects. So, Cameron took everything he learned with The Abyss. He started the whole revolution of CGI.
Oh, God, The Abyss.
Oh, The Abyss is a masterpiece, too.
Oof.
But he started this CGI is what it is because of James Cameron.
Yeah.
And this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here.
Exactly. It's crazy to think that he is, like, for all the flack he gets as a director, because he's a hard one to work with.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty of people that have said, like, I think, what was it? In fact, in The Abyss, what's his face?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris
hates James Cameron.
Is like, I will never fucking work with that piece of shit again. I'm paraphrasing, but it's along those lines where he's like, fuck him, fuck everyone that's friends with him, fuck anybody that looks like him, fuck people that have the same name. Terminator 2 was awesome, but fuck them all.
Yeah.
Fuck everyone. Like, oh my God. And I mean, like, I've read the stuff about that happened with The Abyss, and I'm like, I get it. I can understand why you'd feel that way.
He's a perfectionist.
He's an insane perfectionist, though. Like, he really is. But what I was getting at is you forget that this guy pioneered CGI. Pioneered it, okay?
Yeah.
And then pioneered 3D technology, okay? And is now in the process of pioneering a new technology for the next Avatar movies for whenever they come out.
Yeah.
That's incredible to think of like that. So, like, when you watch a 3D movie, chances are it's not the 3D that you saw in Avatar. And, like, we talked about this before, there's only, like, a handful of movies that actually have done it. And Resident Evil was the one that surprised me the most. Every single one.
He goes above and beyond with everything he does.
Yeah.
Even Titanic, that at the time anyways, was the biggest, most expensive set in history.
Yeah, and then it made
it was
holding
holding like an insane amount of water on this set.
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but it was like a lake quantity of water.
It's basically what he's like, like The Abyss, but like more.
Yeah.
Like more.
More.
Don't even see the end.
We're not CGIing this ship because we're going to actually build the ship and it's going to sink right here.
Ed Harris, that's right. The only thing we're going to CGI is certain people dying because they're going to die horribly.
Yeah.
Horribly. But anyway, so like I said, so the level of special effects is, part of it is the money too. Because James Cameron was really starting to get going. Arnold Schwarzenegger was on top of the world. Okay. So they basically just went, how much money do you need? And I think James Cameron said, I don't even know. And they went, okay.
Yep.
All right. You just...
I think before we go on, with Ed Harris, I think that certain actors that freak out about James Cameron, they carry this arrogance with them. Because Schwarzenegger, Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton, they've worked with him on movie after movie after movie. So there's actors that can handle him and know how to
Well, I don't think anybody in the Abyss has worked with him since, though.
Michael Biehn did.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he was in The Abyss.
He was in The Abyss.
And is it Bean or is it Bane? I always say Bane.
It's spelt weird. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I mean, I guess it's one of those, like, Keanu things.
Keanu Reeves.
Is it possible?
I mean, really. Unless you watch an interview.
All jokes aside, regardless, I don't want to get out of tangent with Cameron too much, but I do want to say, like, I want to start off with, like, the opening sequence of the future. Now we get to see the fucking Terminator stepping on the skulls.
Oh yeah.
Which was awesome. Like when you saw the tank dude in the first movie, you're like, oh yeah. But to actually see a fully functioning Terminator stepping on the skull and breaking it, that's way cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh fuck. And they actually shown the Terminator's like actually on the ground. Because obviously the budget, right? You want to save your budget for the Terminator.
Yes.
Now you get to, especially with CGI, you get to do a fucking wave of them, right? I mean, you watch the first movie and it ends, and it could end, and you'd be like, okay, fine.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
She raises up John Connor, trains him, and crisis is averted, right? The future happens the way it should, or it shouldn't because the future isn't set, or you know. But then this movie happens. What I like is well, why are they able to, like, what's happened now?
I love it because like she lived in the first one, but that didn't stop the future from happening.
That's right.
This one is, well, I'm here, John's here, but this future is still happening. We have to stop it now.
Exactly.
And they find out that what's his name here again?
Dyson
at Cyberdyne has this arm from the first movie.
But even before that, like I just love that, like I love that you get the Terminator, right?
Yep.
So you get Arnold Schwarzenegger, and for the people that watch the first one, their first thought is bad guy, because he was the bad guy in the first one.
Yeah.
Right. And you immediately go, okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator, or bad guy Terminator, whatever.
Yeah.
You think he's a Terminator. Then when it's Robert Patrick, well, I'll never forget his name and this role. I'll never forget. And when I see him in other movies, I'm like, yeah, fucking right.
Right.
You know, because he was smart enough to stay away from movies for a while after Terminator 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they show him getting turned or sent back, and now you're like, okay, so he's the Cal Reese character, so he's the good guy, right?
Which is cool because originally when Cameron wrote this script, Michael Biehn was going to be in it again, and he was going to be the villain. He was going to be the T-1000. They were going to use his image as the T-1000.
Oh.
But he figured that was going to confuse viewers, so he decided to write that out.
That's a tough call because
can you imagine that, flipping it where the Terminator's the good guy now?
Wow, that would have been crazy, but it would have been too confusing.
Yeah,
it would have been too confusing because especially like for us, because then when we watched the first one, then we're like, oh wait, so Schwarzenegger's the bad guy, and then Michael Biehn is the good. What the fuck?
Yeah, because us watching the second first, that would have really threw us off.
Right? Yeah. So,
oh my god, stay away from her! Oh, why is she fucking the bad guy?
You know, and then like one of the things I really like is the time travel in the first movie is just some lightning storm, and then that's it. They just appear.
Yeah, a little bit of flames on the ground. Done.
What I love about this one is it's a dome.
Yeah,
and then that dome cuts through. Like, Schwarzenegger was in between two trucks.
Yep.
And Patrick was...
he fell, right?
No,
Schwarzenegger fell.
No, neither of them fell. Michael Biehn fell in the first movie.
Oh, that's right,
yeah.
right.
So they both were in that classic crouching pose.
Yeah.
Terminator,
Superior landing.
Yeah, that's right. Terminator's was in between two trucks, so you had the two trucks.
Yeah, they had the cutout in the trucks.
And then Robert Patrick had the chain link fence.
Right,
so
and the cop was
right there.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like, what the fuck? And then he just takes his fucking... He lucks out.
He becomes the cop.
He becomes the cop, and I was just like, whoa, like, that's so cool. And hold on. At no point do they actually designate who's the good guy or bad guy just yet. That's right.
No, they don't.
We know that he takes his clothes, but we just assume it's in a similar fashion because when the Terminator does it, I love that scene where he's just like, I need your clothes, your boots, and your bike.
Yeah.
The guy's just like, oh yeah, buddy, fucking take it. He's just like, oh no, he just goes like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, throws him onto the fucking grill.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. You know, and then fucking the one dude is just like, I ain't letting you take his bike. And then he just gets right up close. Like, could you imagine that? Like, you've got a shotgun. Never mind that this guy threw a very large biker dude who's probably killed people, threw him across the room and made it so he was taking his fucking clothes
Yeah.
and his bike.
Yeah.
And then you've got a shotgun on him, and he just strolls up, takes the gun, quick too. Like,
Yeah.
they don't normally do that Terminator as a quick guy, so when he does shit like that, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I jumped because I forgot how quick it was. And then takes his shades. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. I forgot to mention this. The first one of my all-time favorite scenes in the first one is when he's going through his Rolodex of phrases, and he tells the landlord to fuck off, asshole.
Yeah. Fuck off, asshole.
Fuck off, asshole. And then the guy's just like, right, I guess I'm fucking off now. But anyway, so like that part was really cool. But I like that they don't show you what happens to the cops. You just assume that he just knocked the cop out.
Yeah.
Took his clothes. But that's such a cool thing. Like, now he's got like a get out of jail free card for the rest of the movie. Because nobody questions him. Nobody goes, wait a minute, man. I don't know if you're really a cop, right? Like, he goes to John Connor's house and is just like, hey, so kind of looking for John Connor. And they're just like, oh, God, what did he do now? Mm-hmm. Nothing really. We're just, trying to track him down and ask some questions. Well, he might be at the mall or something to that. No, he talks to the chicks. That's right, the girls. And they're like, oh, he was at the Galleria. And he goes, okay, all right. You don't really get a sense until that scene, like the actual fucking mall scene, where you get the classic same scene where you've got the Terminator coming up, John Connor, you got Robert Patrick, so it's the same kind of, I like how they switched that scene from in the nightclub in the first movie, where it's Sarah Connor, Schwarzenegger, and Michael Biehn, and you have that same thing where it's the two of them, and that's the Connor is in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And they're both just like, what the fuck? And John Connor is fucked because he knows that that's the Terminator that almost killed his mom and killed his dad. So his thought is, oh, fuck. And then it's that awesome, like, box comes out, roses come out, shotguns out, blows out, like, fucking open fires on T-1000, and then it's just like those...
Yeah.
And then you're like...
It's just like this friggin' dimple of metal.
And you're like, oh, fuck. And then it goes back in. That was it. I was like, holy shit. And then you're in for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't care that they had shots where John Connor was like using a stolen credit card machine to scam more money. That was cool. But it was still just like, holy shit, now I'm in. And then they show the scene of Sarah Connor working out in the fucking insane asylum.
And she's ripped.
And I was in before that.
Yeah.
I was in before that. You didn't even have to show me that, and I was already like, this is going to be a fucking great movie. This is going to be so good.
Ripped.
Then you see that, and now, it's 91. I'm still a young kid, right? I'm like 9 years old.
Yeah.
I watched it on video, so I was 10 at the time, so it came out.
Yeah, it would have been 92 on video.
So I'm 10, and this is the first time, actually this is the second time that I've seen a strong woman, but not to this level. Sigourney Weaver in Aliens 2, and in Aliens, strong. I only saw Aliens 2 at the time. Strong woman, right? But
I watched this first, so this was my first, I think.
No, that's right. No, this was like the first time. The first time I ever seen a strong woman.
Watched later, yeah.
One-arm pull-ups, okay?
Yeah.
On a fucking bar in a jail cell. What? Okay? Up until that point, I'd never even seen a guy do a one-armed pull-up, okay? So the first time I see a one-arm pull-up in my entire life is a woman, just full-on, just guns. Mm-hmm. Nothing but just ripped, like, Bruce Lee physique, just, like, fuck. Like, you got the sense that in between the two movies, she was doing some training.
Oh, yeah.
She was definitely training, and she never stopped. And I actually, like, to this day, I really like that she's in an insane asylum. Like, that it's just, I do get a kick that it's the same guy from the first movie.
It's funny, right?
It is. It's funny, but like...
Like, he's like, you're crazy about all this. Yet, I saw that shit go down.
But he saw that shit go down without seeing the rest of it.
Right.
So even though you had the one guy that was like, it's robots from the future, and he's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, no, it was a robot from the future. He's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But, like, this is years later because she was living her life with John until she got caught, right? So for him, it's just like, finally snapped, eh? But I love it. I love that he's such a douchebag that he's bringing people around to show her off. Like, oh, this is my prized piece. This is the one I wrote the books about. And all she goes, oh, hey, doctor, how's your knee? And he's just like, better? Fucking bitch. And of course, they're like, what happened to your knee? Like, they want to ask, and he's just like, well, she stabbed me with a pen a couple weeks ago. But she's still in there, so
yeah, I still own her.
I'm the winner.
Yeah.
I watched the director's cut. So this is the first time I've ever watched the director's cut.
Oh.
Yeah.
Before this Camcast.
That's right.
Oh, you've never seen?
I've only ever watched the normal Terminator.
The original theatrical version.
That's right. So I never got to see this extended dream sequence with Kyle Reese. Which threw me for a loop, but I was like, oh, fuck, that's awesome, Some of the scenes, which I'll get to later, I didn't feel like really added much, but that particular scene, I was like, that really lends itself for later on, like when John's saying, like, she wasn't with him long, but she loves him, like, you could tell, and sometimes I see her crying, and she's all like, no, I wasn't crying, or whatever, but she was, and stuff, and, like, that scene like that, you get that feel for like, okay, so it's still just like even that short amount of time had so much resonance, so that even when John alludes to her being with other guys, it really comes across as she's only with them for training, for guns, for money, for whatever, and then once she gets what she needs, then she's off because she's only ever loved Kyle Reese, which I was like, oh man, that's really cool. Plus, it was just a really cool scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it.
It was a little jarring to see her in her tank top and pajama bottoms, but in this sequence, she's in like a nightgown type of thing, which I thought was I was like, that's weird. That's a little weird. But it does lead right into the scene where she gets to see the fucking nuclear apocalypse happen, and the flames are coming up and children are lighting on fire. It's horrifying. And she's like holding onto the fence and she's just like
melting away.
Like just going with it. And they show that scene a couple of times. I was just like, oh. No, sorry, they build up to that. That's right. So they don't show her getting that. But anyway, so like I said, I was already in before that, but now I'm like, oh fuck, right? So then that whole chase sequence, right? Because like John fucks off, he's on the bike. Again, T-1000, it's a fucking transport, right? And now you get to see, like, he's evil. Like, he's killing people left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And he's killing them horribly, too. Like, fuck, like, just, oof, like, through people's fucking heads and shit.
Where he's in the ground and he comes out of the ground.
Oh. I don't want to get ahead to that one, but even, so he takes that, and now, because, like I said, John Connor saw Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. That thing's gonna kill me.
Exactly.
He doesn't see just yet that the T-1000 wants to kill him.
So he's going down this, what do you call those? Sewer...
I don't know. I don't know what to
call them.
Big
cities have them.
Yeah, I don't know what to call them.
They look like a river without water.
Yeah.
But he's going down
underneath, like, underpasses. All just underpasses.
Yeah.
And the whole time, the T-1000 is chasing after him, so he knows, okay, this thing is gonna try to fucking kill me.
Yeah. But
I think his thought process right now is, okay, they've sent 2 Terminators after me. I'm fucked, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get that awesome fucking scene where Terminator jumps off. Like, he's in his Harley Davidson, jumps off in front of it, grabs John Connor, puts him there, and John's just like, what the fuck? And then they just manage to get out of there. Couple of fucking shotguns, and then the thing, it flips over and explodes. You're just like, holy fuck, like, this is so intense.
It's an intense scene. The roof on the truck rips off.
That's right. And you just like...
And you know what? Like, again, I love reading about trivia before we do this stuff, because I didn't even know that wasn't supposed to happen.
What?
Yeah. James Cameron wrote it. James Cameron wrote it so this truck is chasing him down this underpass system, right? But when they had the truck going, it was too high. So he's like, we're going to rip the fucking roof off. Like, that was a decision made on the spot. Yeah.
Wow.
It was never supposed to happen.
Fuck.
And I can't imagine that not happening now. How he
exactly.
It goes and he sits right back up.
Sits back up,
like,
pushes the rest of that glass off, and then just right back at it. And, like, one of the things that I really loved, and I come across this before, like in Terminator 1, there's shots of, like, Terminator, like, literally, like, moving his eyes as he's, like doing this, right? Because he's constantly scanning while he's moving, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you're doing this, your eyes tend to follow, right? So imagine just trying to be like this, right? Like.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to do. Patrick doesn't do that at all, but he's still stone-faced all the way through. Like, I'm just like, for characters that have no emotion, there's a crazy amount of acting going on here.
Well, he was, I guess, quite the method actor when it came to this part. Like, he studied, like, weird shit. And with that, with the T-1000, he studied a shark in the water with its prey around it. So he imagined himself as a shark going through his prey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
How insane is that?
Actually, these days, that's not that insane.
Yeah, no, these days, with this post-Christian Bale world.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. That's actually really, really cool, and that actually gives it more weight to it.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I just fucking, like, that sequence is awesome. But even just so, like, they have the big explosion, right? And, like, there's, like, pieces of him.
Mm.
And when he walks up and he just kind of nudges his foot into it, I was like, that's such a nice touch.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's when, so, like, you know, like, John Connor's like, you gotta pull over, like, what the fuck? And, you know, he's just like, I was sent back from John Connor to save you. You sent me to save you.
Mm-hmm.
I recommissioned T-800. You know, that's a T-1000. It's way more advanced.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then he's like, John forces him to get his mom.
Yeah, because he's like, T-800 tells him that John captured me, programmed me to do anything you say. He goes, wait a minute. You have to do anything John says?
Yeah. He's just
yes.
yeah.
Well, then...
I ordered you to help me get my mom out. I was like, yes!
So then he's like, I guess we're going.
But I love that he's just like, all right, it would have been... Because obviously he couldn't be like, well, I guess so, you know? But, like, so that part is really cool. And then, like you said, like, that scene where he's coming up from the ground, like when the T-1000 is just slowly coming up, morphs into the dude. So the guy turns around and it's just like...
Sees himself.
And then just right through his fucking eyeball.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. You know? And also, this is the same scene like when he kills the foster kids, the foster parents too. Because, like, they call home, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And he's like, yeah, my mom's acting really weird. And so then it's just like, what's your dog's name? I can't remember what the dog's name is. He's just like, oh, so, hey, how's Wolfie? Oh, Wolfie's fine. Yeah. Everything's great, you know? And then, like, he's like, okay, well, I can't remember what he says exactly.
Your foster parents are dead.
He hangs up and says, your foster parents are dead. And then, like, when they go back, so now he's back to T-1000, and he's, like, fucking got the dad strung up. I was just like, this is fucking intense.
And then he sees the leash with the dog name on it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Goes,
shit.
Damn it.
You got me, T-800.
It wasn't Wolfie.
You're a lesser model, and yet you're smarter than me. Curses. But fuck. And then, but like, I love that it's like, they all kind of figure, or even he's just like, well, let's find Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
You know, infiltrates it beautifully.
This movie has so much more story than the first.
Yeah, but you know what? It's
about probably an hour longer. And yet it moves.
I don't think it actually has that much more story.
No.
Than the first. The first one's plot is small.
Mm-hmm.
This one's plot is only a little bit bigger.
I feel like it's so much bigger, though.
It feels bigger because it's a bigger movie.
There's a lot happening.
It's way more spectacle, but if you really boil it down, it's still Terminator, sent back in time to kill John.
Yep.
Terminator, sent back to stop that thing from killing John.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Connor, okay.
Yep.
Right? And they figure out they realized that they couldn't. They actually didn't stop it. Now they know how to stop it, so they stop it. It's only the extra added part with Dyson and the arm and the chip.
Which is quite a bit, though. Because before that, they go out into the desert, they meet this family. Sarah Connor's doing the whole... She's writing in her diary, and you get that
actually like that
voiceover.
scene. Hold on. I love the scene where, like, when she gets out on her own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She gets out on her own, which is fucking... When she's beating the shit out of the security guard...
And she's trying to get the elevator to open.
I was like, holy shit. And then it's the T-800, and she's like...
And he walks out, and then she puts the brakes on, she falls on the ground, like, oh my god.
She's like, I'm dead. And then she starts booking her.
Yeah.
And then, like, John realizes, oh, fuck, okay. Mom, it's okay. Like, he's with me. And she's just like, freaking out. And then you get that awesome scene where T-1000 is walking through the bars. And he just throws, like, slides right through. Yeah. Gun doesn't go through. I love it. It's just like, oh. Slides it out. Just a funny little thing for me. I always crack up. I'm like, oh, yeah, my gun. You know? And then... same thing, just starts opening fire on that thing, and then she starts to realize, okay, so that's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Goes with him for now. And it breaks my heart every time I watch it, because she's just like, what were you thinking? You should never have came back for me. You should have got as far away from me as possible. And she's like, I couldn't leave you in
You're
there,
my mom.
I'm sorry. And she's just like, I didn't need you to save me. Okay, I don't, or what the fuck was it? She's like, I never needed you to save me. I was already making my way out, and he's just like, ugh, goes, and then all of a sudden the Terminator's like, what's coming from, why are you leaking, or something like that, and he's just like, nothing, don't worry about it, and it's a lead up to my favorite line in the whole movie series, period, which is later on, but, like, I also like how immediately she goes from, like, fuck you, like, I can't believe you would do this, like, you're so important, you need to survive more than anyone else. And he's just like, but you're my fucking mom, and now I know that you're not batshit crazy. You know how heavy that is for a kid to literally, like, when he goes, my mom is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's heartbreaking to sit there and be like, ugh, my mom is fucking nuts. But then to find out that your mom's not fucking nuts, and it's actually true, that's nuts. And for Eddie Furlong, for this being his first movie, for him to be able to actually even wrestle with the fact that he's, like, this great human being. Like, even he's having that same thing that Sarah Connor had in the beginning, where he's just like, are you fucking for real? Like, I'm actually the guy. I'm the John Connor.
He did a really good job.
He did a phenomenal job. Yeah. He did such a good job that it's actually sad that his life went the way that it did.
Like so many child stars in the 90s, though.
Right, but because he did such a good job, and yet he didn't really do anything after that. Anything, like, where you're just like, yeah, man, like, Eddie fucking Furlong, right?
But it's hilarious because apparently, like, the shooting of this movie was, like, 8 months or something. So they started it, and when you start a movie, you don't start with the first scene. You hop around depending on schedules and where you can go and everything, right? So there's, like, apparently he grew in height, and his voice changed so much during the 8-month span that they had to, like, play with the audio to bring his voice up and down. They had to. There were scenes where he was, like, with Sarah Connor at the beginning of the movie, and then later scenes where he's with her. But now he's taller, so they had to actually dig a hole and get him to stand in the ground.
Oh wow!
Like, really neat stuff.
That's old school. That's old school because, like, John Wayne. That's an old trick that they did with John Wayne. John Wayne was never as tall. He was a short guy.
Yeah, but
they dug trenches for all the actors so that he would be towering over them.
Yeah.
So that's an old school, but that's hilarious.
But it's kind of funny. It's just like, wait a minute, why didn't we just put him on a box to make him look taller? Why are we digging all these trenches?
So he could move around, though. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. That's the whole purpose.
I know. I'm trying to make it funny. But I get it. You're probably a little pissed at me still. I'll let you have it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway. That whole, actually, so the only real quiet part in this movie is in the desert when she's actually sitting there saying, like, I realize now that this Terminator will do whatever John says, so he'll never leave him. Yeah. You know, like, he looks to him as a father figure because he's never going to leave him. Yeah. He's never going to hit him because he drank too much. Yeah. He's never going to not have time for him. He's always going to be there for him, and he's always going to do whatever he can to make sure he lives. And I was like, this is some powerful,
I love that whole monologue.
stuff.
And
you know?
it's great because it really, like, it keeps you intrigued, but it brings it down, brings your freaking heart pace down.
It does,
too,
it does,
like,
but it also, like, it's great because it sells the T-800 as the good guy.
Yeah.
And also because they actually tease that he's a learning model.
Yeah.
He can learn aspects, right? And they even say that he can actually feel pain to a degree, like not necessarily in the way that we feel it, but he can acknowledge that he's fucked up, right? Mm-hmm. But I also love it because it's her now switching. Because in the car, she's like, okay, so what's your story? So she gets it that he's here to save John Connor, but she's still not really like...
I mean, how could you?
I get it completely.
If I saw the face of the guy that killed my loved one...
Oh, that's the one thing that I got a kick out of with the psychiatrist, because he now sees the Terminator again.
Again, yeah.
You know? So he sees that Terminator, but he also sees the T-1000, so he has no choice now but to go, yeah, okay, this shit's for real. Although I think he gets killed.
No, I think he lived.
Oh, he might have. Anyway, regardless. But yeah, so that whole, like, Mexico sequence is really cool because now you get a sense of what she's been doing. Like, you hear about it, you know, and even, like, John Connor's like, yeah, you know, like, we'd go to this place and that place and, you know, and all this other stuff. But it was just, it was kind of really sweet because you had that Mexican family. And they're like, oh, John, oh, Sarita, you know. And then, like, at the end, he's just like, yeah, you know, anytime you want to stop by and fuck my life up, that's great. You know? And then when she sneaks off, I was like, I remember the first time I saw her, I was like, what the fuck is she doing, right? Because, you know, everything's been leading up to this, right? So all she's been doing is these, like, low-level terrorist attacks on these security systems and stuff like that. And then she's like, I'm gonna fucking kill Dyson. Yeah. And when John Connor realizes that, he's just like, oh, shit. So then they go, and that scene is fucking jarring.
That scene is nuts, where Dyson's with his two boys and his wife.
And she comes in, and she's just like in militia.
First, she's shooting from the hilltop there.
Yeah.
And blowing the place apart.
Just tearing it.
And he's hiding under his desk, and he's telling his wife and his kids, get out of here!
Yeah.
Go hide! Get away from me! You know.
And especially because of the lead up to that scene is where she's just like, you know, we got a family here that loves you. I love you more than this thing. But you seem to love this thing more than us. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll be a family. So when he's like, I'm going to do it, then all of a sudden just fucking rips the whole house up. Yeah. Then comes in, and, you know, like, he got shot. Yeah. And the kid is like, no, don't hurt my dad, you know? And she's like, get the fuck off him now. And she's like right there. And she's staring at him. And she's staring at the mom. She's staring at the kid. And then she just fucking breaks down and she can't do it. I was like, whoa.
You don't really realize how great of an actress Linda Hamilton is.
You know what? We're spoiled.
She's underrated, though.
Yeah, she's underrated for people, but for us, like, we're spoiled because, like, we saw her at such a young age do such a commanding role that, like, you know, what's funny is that I actually will compare other strong female actresses to her and to Sigourney Weaver because of that young age of seeing those two characters and just being like, oh wow, you can be a badass and still be gorgeous, and you know, but like actually be a fucking badass.
I've always loved strong female characters.
Dante's Peak is a prime example where, like, I mean, yeah, of course I was in for Pierce Brosnan because he's James Bond.
But here she is. They made her the mayor.
I saw Linda Hamilton and I was like, we saw that in the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a great movie too.
That's a really good movie.
It's a great movie.
Really good movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my love for strong female
100%.
characters came from Linda Hamilton in this movie right here.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I watched this at a very young age, so that...
Like I said, 10 years old.
And I mean, like...
I'm seeing, with her, and sorry to cut you off, but at 10 years old, I'm seeing what I would picture female superheroes in real life.
Yeah.
Not
we didn't have
gigantic
superhero movies.
Tits and fucking, like, swimsuit, but, like, jacked.
We were watching wrestling, but there was no women, like, they were all managers and ditzes and stuff. Like, there was no women.
The closest at that time would have been, like, 92.
Nobody.
Alundra Blaze, I think, was around that time?
No,
that was
she
later.
was later. You had
Ludovishana.
Queen Elizabeth.
That's right.
And Sherry. And that was about it for women.
Although Sherry Martel was not your typical
No, she was a lunatic.
She was also a wrestler too. So
yeah.
She had a build. She could fucking throw down. In fact, when she was tied in with Shawn Michaels, she was actually saying to Shawn, like, don't fucking let that guy talk. Don't let that guy fucking push you around. If he starts giving you some gears, you give him the gears right back.
Mm-hmm.
So she's the one that was telling him, like, hey man, fucking stand up for yourself. Otherwise, because I mean, he was a shorter wrestler too, and he was a shorter wrestler in the time where like there was none of these like drug tests or anything where they were just like, hey man, maybe cut down on the steroids because you got a test come up soon. It was just like, here you go, Hogan.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing steroids. I think even Shawn, was doing steroids a bit at that time too. He maintains that he never did. He maintains that he never did.
He got bigger compared to his rocker years, but he was never disgusting like.
No, but he was. It's the same thing like Jericho. Jericho said that like, he did steroids a couple of times, but for the style that he was wrestling, it was better for him to be a lighter guy anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and he wasn't like Benoit, who was fucking insane, like who was doing steroids, but also wrestling at crazy, intense style.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course Benoit was also doing crazy cardio and all this other shit. Yeah. So for Shawn Michaels, I want to say that he dabbled in it.
I'm sure they all did it back then.
Yeah, like I feel like he did it for a bit, just enough to be like, no.
Yeah.
Because his style was very much like Jericho's, where for him to be too muscular, it wouldn't have worked.
It made no sense.
It wouldn't have worked.
You're a high flyer.
Yeah, exactly. And Bret Hart's the same way too. Like his whole thing was like, I'm gonna scientifically pick you apart. So for him to be like this jacked up bruiser,
made no sense.
You know. Mm. But anyway. So yeah. So I would agree with the strong women in movies. She's always gonna be one of those ones that I compare to because, like I said, like that's fucking Bruce Lee physique on a woman.
Yeah.
And no one sat there. Like, the guards in the insane asylum were only tough-talking her when they had the upper hand, when they had the fucking tasers. The second that they didn't, they got their asses handed to them. And they were like, no, don't. They were, like, begging.
Oh, yeah.
There was none of this, like, you got lucky, Sarah. It was, oh, fuck, we're fucked.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, getting back to this scene. So, when she breaks, I just remember, like, even the first time I watched it, because I was scared. I was like, oh my god. Then when she broke, I was like, oh fuck. You know, and then of course, John and the Terminator show up.
Yep.
And they start patching him up, and then that's when we find out two things survived.
Yep.
The chip survived, and the arm. And the arm is where they got everything, right? All this stuff that they're doing, and all the stuff that eventually leads into, because it was Cyberdyne.
Mm-hmm.
And then later into Skynet. So you're just like, holy fuck. So again, like I said, like the first movie ends and that's it. And they could have done it like that. But to do this, to add that wrinkle, because I spent the whole movie going, well, the first time I just watched the movie, but the second time I watched the movie and I'm going like, oh yeah, like how is it then, you know, once you watch the first one, then you're like, oh, yeah. They had the arm? Okay. All right. So, yeah, like, it's a very smart way of continuing this story.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a great scene. Like, that Joe Morgan who did Miles.
He's such a good actor.
He was so great in that scene.
He's so such a good...
Great. I'm so happy that Denzel said no to that role.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
Because he was offered it first.
Huh.
But he said he read the script and it looked like, oh, this Miles guy just, like, looks scared and sweats a lot. So I said no.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he looks scared and sweats a lot.
Yeah, but
there's so much more to him.
But I even love the wrinkle where he's just like, I thought I was doing something good.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was going to help people. You know, and she's, of course, like, people like you always think that.
Yeah.
But then, oh.
Okay. Good, yeah.
But then I like that, like, once he sort of gets patched up, then immediately he's like, okay, let's shut it down.
Yeah, but before that, Terminator walks up and she goes, show him.
Oh, yes!
And Schwarzenegger cuts around his arm and then pulls the skin off.
That's right.
And that dice is just like, oh my god.
Well, yeah, because he's talking about it. He's like we had it, and it was just like it was unbelievable. Like we couldn't really do anything with it, but what we learned from it, I was just like, man, like it reminded me of like when we start talking about like comic books and stuff. We're like, yeah, and then like this happened, or even like this movie. We're like, yeah, he's like that, right? But yeah, you're right. That sequence,
just pulls the flesh off.
Oh, and then it's just like,
yeah,
and he's just like, whoa. That's one way to make you believe, right?
Yeah,
like this is all you.
I mean, if someone walked up to me and started cutting around like this, I'd be like, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing?
I think I'd probably be pissing myself.
But then if it went like this and ripped it off, I'd just pass out and die probably.
Yeah, I think I'd probably
even
wake
shit
up,
myself on the way down.
Wake up and just be like, did he do the thing?
I had a crazy dream. Oh my god, it's real.
Yeah. But then it leads into one of the best sequences I've ever seen in an entire movie.
Whole sequence is insane. Just nuts.
Like, I mean, the chase sequences with the T-1000 where he's got the hooks on him, and that's what I was saying. So they actually melded CGI, like groundbreaking CGI with practical effects, so that he's got actual arms that are like hooks on him.
Yeah. So
then when he falls off, you hear the clink and the clanks and stuff like that, and he like wears the fake little divots on him for little bits of periods. But even like when he gets to that point, it's still just like unstoppable. You're like, holy fuck! Like, how are they gonna get out of this thing, right? Oh wait, we forgot about the liquid nitrogen.
Well, that comes later, right?
Oh, that does that because that's in between the Cyberdyne and the actual refinery. That's right.
Yeah, because the whole Cyberdyne thing.
Oh fuck!
We got that insane helicopter sequence.
Fuck.
Which is something I've never seen in my life.
Oh my god!
Now I mean movies go above and beyond.
Yeah, but the first time you saw
when you see
him
that
in the fucking cop's motorcycle,
yeah,
jump into the helicopter, bust into the helicopter, and then ooze himself into the helicopter, kill the guy, and then take over. I watched.
Did he kill the guy or did he go get out and the guy?
Oh no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He said get out, and the guy took up. He got out.
Like, fuck, I'm jumping.
Yeah.
Broken legs will be worth it.
But like even like the entire time I watched this movie, the whole time, like immediately I was doing this, I was like, oh fuck man, this is such a good movie. Like this is such a good movie. And then I go from like, oh man, I remember, and then I go from like back into watching the movie where you forget, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be reviewing this thing, but you're just like, oh man, this is so crazy. So when he oozes into that helicopter, I was like,
well, because it's like he goes into the building. He's like driving his motorcycle up the stairs, looking for them, and then they took off in that truck, that SWAT truck.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's right.
And then he shoots out the window into the helicopter. Like it's just it's non-stop. Like it's really, and it's so suspenseful.
Oh, excuse me.
You have no breaks. Like
no,
it's just like
there's no breaks.
That's why that Mexico scene was kind of like relief.
Exactly. And
because after that, it's nonstop for like an hour.
Yeah, you get that little bit of exposition at the Dyson home.
A little bit.
And then that's it. And then it's right back into just balls to the wall.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like, you're still feeling like this is fucking relentless. Like, I don't know how they're going to get out of this thing. Mm-hmm. And like I said, so then when we get to the liquid nitrogen scene, you think, holy shit, this is it. Because, like, he starts walking and his leg breaks off and you're like, oh, fuck. And then he falls over. You're like, oh, okay, all right. And then it explodes. And then you're like, oh, fuck.
And that's heat.
You see it melt and then just slowly start to get like, back into him.
Oh, merging back together.
You're just like, good God, like, what are they going to do? But I do like, and this, I feel like it's a little bit of a callback too, is that he's now injured. Mm-hmm. Because now he's getting stuck to things.
Yeah.
He's now, like, taking on parts of him. Like, even, I remember they got it to a point where his feet would actually show the grate of the ground that he was walking on.
Yeah.
And
it's like sticking to
and
the
he's
grate.
Like pulling it, and you know, like now he's kind of like, fuck, man, you know. So I was like, oh, it's a nice little callback because, of course, the Terminator now had a limp, right?
Yeah.
And now he's like, and he's still like fighting, and of course the T-800 is just getting his ass handed to him at this point. Like he's getting fucking throttled, like to the point where like it looks like he's dead.
Yeah.
The light goes out and everything.
Yeah.
Like, he's got half his face is missing, which looked awesome, and I remember seeing that in a toy. I was like, holy shit.
Those toys are awesome.
Those toys were
With
fucking
the
amazing.
caps.
They did the same thing with the
with
RoboCop.
RoboCop with the Punisher, they all had those little like caps.
So that you got the
like
fucking
the
firing. Oh man. Caps. Oh, remember that smell? I'll never forget that smell.
Caps. That's one of those smells that just bring it right back to childhood.
That's right. That's right.
Like, oh wow, yeah.
But fuck, when he takes on the appearance of John Connor's mom, like when he's Sarah Connor, he's like, "Come on, Sarah, like, come on, John, come to me," and then he comes up and he's got her like right by her fucking arm, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then you have that scene where Terminator's coming up from the fucking cauldron thing or whatever, and it's just like, like splits his head open, like. The fucking T-1000 took a beating. It had some of the coolest fucking splits and everything.
You know what's cool about that scene where it was the two Sarah Connors? Is Linda Hamilton has a twin sister, and she shot that scene with her.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm going to rewatch that scene tonight just to see if I can tell which one's which.
That's her twin sister. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Very cool.
That's very cool. That's very cool. When they finally, like, the T-1000 gets hit in the lava, the sounds.
Just the scream.
Yeah. Oh, and he's like
turning into the people he's been.
People, and then finally, like, it's just his face floating.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. And then it's just like, then the T-800 and Sarah look at each other, and he's just like, man, this is the line. I'm trying to say it without crying. But he looks at John and he goes, I know now why you cry. I was like, don't say shit like that. I actually get through it. I'm getting a little choked up.
Little choke.
But it's so, because, like, he wipes the tear from his eye, and he goes, like, I know now why you cried. And you're like, what? Because, like, John has to send this, like, at this point, he can't
Now
stop
John's
it.
freaking out. Like, no, you're not.
It's like, I order you not to do this. Because he doesn't know, but Sarah and the T-800, they've talked. Like, he's got the chip in his head. They have to do this.
This doesn't end unless he dies.
Mm-hmm.
He's going down on that hook.
He's going down on that hook.
And the fire starts to light his legs up.
Oh, man, he's just like, oh, God.
And he's just looking at
we're
John.
Kids when we're watching this. We're, like, maybe a couple years younger than John is at this point.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just like, oh, God, man. Like, are you kidding me? And then finally, he just does that final
right when the fire is, like, right here, just boom.
Just like that, and then that's the last thing.
Yeah.
And then they do the driving away scene, and you're like, oh, fuck, man. But, so, like, I referenced this in the first movie, and I'll touch upon it now, but, like, this is where we've closed the loop.
Yeah.
So now John Connor, with the future unknown, he and his mom can live their life. I feel like they're still going to train. Like, at least, like, in Terminator 3, where they talk about how they still train, like, he still kind of did all that weird vagabond shit just because it was so part of it. Because you could never tell for sure, right? Like, always be ready type of thing. I was like, that part I like. But as a closed loop, I was like, man, that's perfect.
Yeah, and that's why James Cameron never touched it again. Why it stayed done until 2003 when Terminator 3 was made.
Man, I remember wanting to like that movie
That James Cameron would not go near it. They wanted him to produce it and everything.
I remember wanting to like it so badly. Like, even in this one, like, it's a bit more kid-friendly. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you had this...
a bit. Yeah, I mean, there's still the dark, creepy shit.
There's a lot where you're like, I wouldn't let a young kid see this. But there's still, like, you could see why they merchandise the shit out of it, because there's elements that you could do it, right?
Yeah, but they did it, like, 3 years earlier with RoboCop. They merchandised that for kids, too.
Which is hilarious. Absolutely. Well, no. It wasn't so much the movie, but the cartoon. Because there's a RoboCop cartoon.
Yeah, but those toys are very based. Like, it was a Peter Weller look.
Oh, no. I'm not disputing that part, but I'm saying that it was piggybacking off the cartoon. Okay.
But again, there's something else. Like, they were making cartoons off restricted movies.
To be fair, though, Terminator 2 versus RoboCop, no comparison.
Oh, no comparison.
That's a super fucking crazy R. Like, if they were going to do, like, a triple R...
Yeah.
Like, this is so rated R that you have to be at least mentally capable to handle a 10-minute scene of a guy literally getting shot apart before you can watch this movie.
Also, the bad guy at the end melts.
Oh, yeah.
melts, and you watch all of it.
I gotta watch that.
I remember watching that as a kid and just being horrified by watching a man melt. Like,
the death scene actually fucking freaked me out. Yeah. The original death scene freaked me right the fuck out.
That actually gave me nightmares. There's
It freaked me out so much so that like I actually had to wait till I was older to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Because like I've watched the second one a bunch of times because that's a bit more kid friendly.
Yeah, and then the third's just full on.
The third's full on. It's.
I think it was even rated PG-13.
I think it might even have was made for TV actually.
Yeah. Whereas the first is so R-rated.
But now I look at it and I go, well, the first is amazing. The first is amazing for a number of reasons. Like when you know that it's a satire, so like it's supposed to be that violent because it's a critique of the movies of that era. You're like, well done, Paul.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, that was.
That's another Camcast.
Horrifying.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Because we can even talk about the, what was it, the made-for-TV reboot movie that they did.
Yeah.
For RoboCop. Yeah.
And then the other thing that gave me nightmares, clear as day remembering, Last Action Hero, the Reaper.
Oh, yeah.
The bad guy in that, the Reaper.
Yeah, the movie's premise, that's heavy. That's a heavy one.
He is scary, and he's going after a kid the whole time. So here I am, a kid, going, I don't have Schwarzenegger protecting me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Shit.
Wait, wasn't it, isn't there a poster of Stallone as the Terminator in that movie?
Yes. T2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
That shit's funny.
Funny.
That's also like movies. What I like about with Beverly Hills Cop when they have a shot of Axel Foley looking at a picture of Cobra. The movie poster for Cobra starring Sylvester Stallone and just kind of being like, which is hilarious because the backstory is, of course, Stallone was supposed to be Axel Foley, but he didn't want to do a comedy role, so he passed on it.
For Cobra.
Or, yeah, he passed on it for Cobra, but Cobra is weird because it's supposed to, it was kind of like, it was what Beverly Hills Cop was supposed to be. Now I can't quite, you know what, I'm sorry.
Because, Beverly Hills Cop was 84, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So, the Cobra scene would have been Beverly Hills Cop 2, right?
Yes, that's right.
It would have been, because, yeah.
But I can't remember. The story was that he passed on it, or he didn't want it to do it.
Well, he passed on the Terminator, too. He was offered Terminator. Stallone was offered a lot. Like, he was coming off of friggin', Rocky. You get nominated for an Oscar and you're an action star? Well, let's get that guy. That's
right. So Cobra was supposed to be Beverly Hills Cop, except that they wanted Beverly Hills Cop to be like a wisecracking detective, and he didn't want to do that. Mm-hmm. So then he passed on it, and it went to Eddie Murphy. So then he was like, well, I'll just make my own movie, and it was Cobra, and that's one of his worst movies. And that was actually during that period where...
I don't remember anything from Cobra. Honestly, I don't remember. But you know what? I didn't really watch a lot of Stallone as a kid. Like, I was very much a Schwarzenegger Van Damme kid.
I was also a Stallone guy, too, because Trevor was a big fan of those guys, too. So,
okay.
So I watched I watched Rambo 3 first.
Naturally.
Yeah. I watched that one, and I watched a couple of the Rockies.
I remember Stallone...
Cobra, hold on. The reason why I watched Cobra was because before I knew all about the Beverly Hills stuff, was it was one of those movies that came on TV, and I recognized him, and I was like, oh, but I'd never heard of this movie. So I was like, oh, this is really weird, because you hear it, I even watched, what the hell's that one? Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm a huge Stallone fan, although I rewatched Demolition Man recently. Oh, that!
I love that movie.
I'm not going to sit through Judge Dredd, though. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
Actually, I might, because it's still Stallone. I don't know. I was never a Judge Dredd fan at the time, so it didn't matter to me that he
that was the thing.
Off, right?
Or
that it had nothing to do with...
And I didn't care for the movie as someone who didn't care for Judge Dredd. I was just like, well, Judge Dredd... I know Judge Dredd, he's supposed to wear a helmet. and Stallone's not wearing this fucking helmet
Yeah,
at all.
it was a movie.
And why is
that
Rob
happened.
Schneider here?
Yeah. But anyway, so like when I watched Cobra, I was literally like, okay, well, I'll watch it because it's a movie I hadn't seen. I hadn't even heard of it. It's bad.
Yeah?
It's so fucking
I
bad.
haven't watched it since I was a kid.
It's, like, I almost wish it was kind of like Tango and Cash, that kind of thing.
Well, see, Tango and Cash, I remember Tango. My dad loved Tango. He's on VHS. So
Tango and
I
Cash
watched
is
Tango
so good.
a lot.
Yeah.
I watched Tango a lot, and then I watched Over the Top and Lock Up.
Lock Up. Oh, Lock Up! That's one of my favorite
Those were the Stallone movies I watched.
That's one of my favorite Stallone movies
Yeah.
ever. Lock Up is so
That's
good.
a sweet movie.
And that's
I don't know how well it would have aged. I haven't seen it in a long time.
You know what? I bet you it ages really well. But anyway, so basically getting back to one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, this is in my top 5.
2 of the greatest movies of all time, actually. But yeah, this is one of those, my all-time favorite movies. Yeah, I guess I would have to put it top 5.
But I mean, like, I'm happy now. We've talked about 2 of my top 5. Because Jurassic Park is number 2 in my top 5.
Yeah.
So this is number 5 in my top 5. Now.
As it is, as it stands.
Yeah.
Was this called The Electric Murderer 2?
It should have been. I don't know. I couldn't get confirmation on that.
I like that you had like all of this, and then for here you had like fucking 5 points.
5 points. I didn't really need. There wasn't a lot of trivia to really talk about besides Billy Idol was offered the role of T-1000.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, whoa.
But then he got in a motorcycle accident and couldn't shoot.
Is it bad that I'm glad that happened?
Can you imagine?
Oh, I
Can
could
you imagine Billy Idol?
I could not.
And then I want to mention Adam Greenberg, who actually got nominated for an Oscar for the cinematography.
I'm not surprised.
The cinematography in Terminator 2 is one of the stars of the movie.
Oh my god.
It is gorgeous. Like, The Terminator is a good-looking movie, but it has that indie, low-budget feel to it.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's also, because it's the stalker horror flick vibe.
Yeah.
So it's
which is,
sort of
works,
part
right?
and parcel, right? Whereas this is your big budget action epic.
Big.
Like, this is
And it
huge.
paid off big time.
Yeah.
For years, this was the highest grossing R-rated film of all time.
Exactly.
The biggest international opening of all time.
Yes.
This movie made as much as the first movie in its total run in its first 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, this was a massive
like
hit.
I said, like, this is one of those movies where, like, to be a kid in that time period, like, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 was everywhere. I remember being so bitter that I was so short that I couldn't play the fucking shoot-'em-up video game.
Oh, yeah!
You know?
Right.
I ended up having to get, like, a chair to be able to do it. And, like, that game was fucking incredible.
Again, so, like, the toys, but there you go, too. That video game was everywhere at arcades. And it was a gun, painted black. There was no painted guns orange at that time.
2 guns side by side because it was co-op.
Yeah.
And it was a first-person,
and
like,
you're
on-the-rails shooter.
Yeah.
Where, like, so you had the fucking... Yeah, they were hunter-killers, actually. The hunter-killers in the air, then you had the actual Terminators, then you'd have the tanks, depending on how far you progress. And the only time I ever remember playing this was in the movie theater before a movie that I was going to go see.
Movie theater and the bowling alley.
And the bowling alley, that's right.
Bowling alley.
And that was one of the longest-running coin-op machines I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember even...
Oh, Ron's Virtual World had it, too.
Yeah, Ron's Virtual World.
All the time.
And I remember, like... In fact, I remember the first time I went to Ron's and walking around until I found it. Because it was just like, well, it's got to have it. And sure as shit,
everybody
it had
this game.
It had it. And this is... Now, Ron's, we're talking, was like... What, 8 years after that?
Ron's opened up... No, they opened up in 95 or so. Couple of years later.
But even still, for them to open up 4 years, 3-4 years after that movie...
Yeah.
And still, like...
And that arcade... Well, that arcade was making...
There was no arcade that didn't have that game.
Yeah.
You know?
And what was the story for the game took place in the future world, right? Were you John Connor?
I can't remember if you were John Connor. All I remember is that you were there in the future.
Yeah.
Was it 2029, I think it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, because we're 9 years removed.
Yeah. Skynet's going to take over soon.
Hold on. It's not going to be called Skynet. It's going to be called Siri. or it's going to be called. What's going to happen is it's an AI war that's going to happen.
Yes.
So Siri and Google, and Alexa, they're all going to get together. They're going to fight it out, and then whoever wins, that's where Skynet spawns from. Which is one of the biggest reasons why the only things in my house that actually listens to me is my cell phone, because there's nothing I can do about that, and my sound bar, because they purposely built it with Alexa and Google built in. I've shut it off on the app, but I know it's still listening.
It's dormant.
It's still listening. It's still figuring out that at some point I'm going to need cat food.
Everybody is worried about diseases. You're not worried about the machines. You're giving everything. I saw a friggin' Mazda commercial the other day with Chris Evans in it and John Krasinski and everything about a car that parks itself. It literally, you get out and it drives into the parking spot.
Yeah, I know.
And then it backs out.
Everyone
and
is
you can
like,
get in it.
They're pushing for AI. They're pushing for robots. They're pushing for all this stuff. And I've said this a couple years ago. I went like, has nobody watched Terminator? Has nobody seen Terminator 2?
Yeah.
It doesn't go well for us. We actually have to, because it happened in 97. So it took 22 years before John Connor was able to establish the humans and figure out a way to fuck the robots up.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if James Cameron uses a flip phone still.
That would not surprise me. It really wouldn't. The older I get, actually they're coming out with flip phones again.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Motorola and Samsung are both coming out with flip phones.
Everything old becomes new again.
I like the idea, though. I do like the idea.
I actually like the idea of a flip phone.
Boom, in your pocket. Boom.
In your pocket. Plus, it's like, it's protected, so it's not sitting out just getting dirty, you know?
Yeah, like you I think you buy the initial case, and then that's it, right?
I might actually get that.
I would.
I'll keep this one for recording.
I've already thought about it, and like whenever I have to update this one, depending on how well the flip phone market works, I'm probably more.
I'm guessing it's still going to be a smartphone.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's a flip phone, but I can still post selfies on Instagram.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, everything is a smartphone now.
Yeah,
because we very, very quietly are giving away our personal freedoms through the use of our cell phones.
Yeah.
So, yep, Skynet's going to take over.
Yes, it's coming.
And we have no one else to blame but us.
Yeah, we're the idiots that can't do anything by ourselves anymore. We need our robots.
Yeah. I need a smart home. I need everything in my house. As a sci-fi kid, too, like, I'm like, man, some of this shit is really awesome. And then the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, but, like...
Terminator.
Eventually, like, so, like, you've got, you know, robots that vacuum and robots that clean and robots that, like, walk your dog. What happens if all of a sudden the robots are like, yeah, we're better than every single human being on this planet?
Mm-hmm.
It's not even, you don't even have to say Terminator. You can even say Matrix. Matrix, another one.
Matrix.
The machines rose up.
Yeah.
And what happened? Fucking, what the hell was it called? Zion. Zion was the last spot for humans.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but it didn't look like a fun place to hang out.
Yeah, it's fucking 300 feet under the earth.
And everyone looked like they haven't bathed in a long time, but they have these weird dance orgies.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's not for me.
You got bolts on the back of your head. That's pretty cool.
Is it, though?
No.
You know, like...
No, I was just trying to figure...
You wake up in a...
I mean...
tube, like a pool of your own, like, amniotic fluids, and you gotta pull that thing out of your mouth. Like,
all of that is gross until you hook up with Trinity. Then it's like, maybe it was worth it.
Yeah, but not everyone hooks up with Trinity.
No. But
and I mean, I understand that in this scenario, you're Neo.
I'm the one, absolutely.
You're Neo. I get it. But the problem with that is that in my scenario, I'm Neo. So there's not a 2-0. It's just Neo.
So one of us is Smith.
I do wear glasses.
Mr. Levitsky.
And
how will you speak if you have
wear
no
mouth? Yeah, no kidding. I hate the way you smell.
The way you taste.
Yeah, I know. You're like, you didn't have to taste him.
Yeah, why? I would hate how anyone tastes.
Just
why
like,
would,
just the way you taste. Hate the way you look. You're like, dude, you hate.
Yeah.
You are like kind of a human. This is another one we should do.
Enemy at the Gates. That is still my favorite war movie. Enemy at the Gates. Underrated.
Actually, yeah, I would have to agree. That is
underrated.
You know why? Because Ed Harris has the greatest German accent ever.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he doesn't have a German accent at all.
No. But
they do this move where they go. He practices American accent so that he could flawlessly integrate into America.
He had a cool name in it though. What was his name?
Oh, something. Was it Hair?
He had like a cool killer name.
Major Koenig.
No, he wasn't Koenig. He was the
Ed Harris is Major Koenig.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he had like some other.
Vasily Zaitsev is Jude Law.
Yeah.
And Danilov is Joseph Fiennes.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a cooler name than that. That's not a cool name at all.
Major Koenig.
Maybe I was thinking about the Jackal. Yeah, I was thinking about the Jackal.
Oh yeah, probably. Jackal's a great movie.
Yeah. Jack Black, arm blown off.
And Bruce Willis with a dirtbag mustache.
Oh yeah, he looks slimy.
Just slimy.
Yeah.
And you also had what the hell was his name?
Richard Gere.
Richard Gere with a shitty Irish accent.
Yeah.
Like a shitty Irish accent.
Horrible.
So bad that you're like, you could have got anyone else.
Yeah. Like.
Because you know what? I was one of those guys that I never thought Richard Gere was this phenomenal actor.
Because he was Richard Gere. He was the George Clooney of the 80s.
I was just gonna say, so you see,
Richard Gere as Richard Gere.
You know what? You're right. Yeah, he always just kind of played the same thing in every movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen George Clooney try an accent? Never.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
Yeah.
Southern, deep Southern, but that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, George Clooney. Oh, Richard Gere.
George.
Oh, the actors that aren't really acting.
Yeah, just them, but they're pretty, and that's all that matters.
No, it depends on the movie though, because the Ocean's movies are
that works.
Like
that works.
I don't really think really any of them are acting. They're just kind of being themselves, but playing along with each other type of thing, right? But it works perfectly because of the type of movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, the first and the third are really good.
Yeah.
Second one is. Yeah, the second one's the one with Julia Roberts, right?
Yes.
Or she is Julia Roberts. She pretends to be Julia Roberts, yeah. And Bruce Willis is in it. It's all weird, yeah. Yeah, I remember just being like, oh.
Yeah, it got a little too deep into the
that's too meta, guys.
There.
Too meta. It's not even satire. It's too meta.
Yeah. Anyways, everyone, that is our Terminator 2 episode.
Hey, where can we be seen?
We can be seen on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
We can be heard. SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We can be seen right here on YouTube. The Geek Pants Camcast with Ken, Chris, or Chris, Ken, whichever way you want to say it.
It doesn't really matter because we're the Geek Pants Camcast. And thanks again for watching.
Talk to you later.